Hello, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. I'm Fergus, I'm your host. Tonight I'm joined by Hillsy, as usual. Lyle's going to join us, and Kieran is trying to find his way around the Bakerloo line and hopefully try and find somewhere to sit down so he can join us, but he's stuck in London. But hopefully we'll get Kieran to join us in a few minutes. This is an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans, for Arsenal fans. We're going to look at the Liverpool game, and we're going to look at probably reflect on the European tour and look ahead to Newcastle and Southampton briefly as well. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. This is your Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans, for Arsenal fans. Enjoy the show.
Hello, Trev. How are you, mate? You got a bit of a Merseyside lurgy, haven't you?
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to me. Liverpool lurgy, I feel like crap. I'll try and get through this, but I might have to disappear off halfway through and leave you boys to it. Just looking at the notes here that Fergus kindly sends me every week, and it's no wonder I don't read them. I'm just looking here, and it's Terence Trent-Arnold came on for Liverpool, by the way. So, he wonders why I don't go by the notes. Well, there's an idea, people. There is an idea why I don't.
It was Trent Arnold, but I think my thing when Terence Trent D'Arby is it's a 90s thing. If you were there, you remember it. So you know, Lyle, you remember Terence Trent D'Arby, don't you?
Not at all, mate. No, of course I do.
We're just waiting on Kieran to find somewhere to sit down and be comfortable. But a good trip up. Good trip up to Merseyside for what we were hoping would have been the title, the battle for the title. How did you find it, Lyle?
Oh, look, mate, it was a really tough day to start off with. I must admit, on Saturday night and Friday, I was absolutely shattered after Paris. I mean, we've got to give a massive shout out to all the Arsenal fans who went to Paris with and without tickets. Incredible support in really tough circumstances out there. Especially the way that some of the Arsenal fans were treated. Yeah, I was shattered, mate. And then something just hit me. It was about midnight on Saturday, where I was just like, come on, we just got to get ourselves up and we just got to go again. And I was like a little kid on Sunday morning. I was, running around the house, bopping up and down. Obviously, the WhatsApp group was flying with people saying, "I'll see you at Euston," blah, blah, blah time. And yeah, we had a really good trip up, Ferg. I really enjoyed it. We almost put the world to right. And that's what a football trip should be. It's about spending time with your mates. It's about supporting your great football club, regardless of the result. And so I really enjoyed that trip up. We talked about family. We talked about recent marriages and, speeches and all of those sort of things. And it really reminded me that it's not just a game of football. It's about the people you spend it with. And Arsenal is truly a family, mate.
Yeah. Trev, I'm going to bring Kieran in a minute. I nearly got his name wrong again. That would have been another name I got wrong. I've done quite a bit of that recently, haven't I? Let me bring Kieran in 1 second. Kieran, I know you're trying to walk to where you're going, but it was quite poignant that we're talking about the train journey up. It was a great train journey up, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's top. It was as Lyle touched on there. It was nice. I think obviously everyone this week was, I guess, a bit flat after Paris. But sometimes that's what you need, is a big occasion like that to get the juices flowing again and get the excitement again. And it was a good laugh. As last week we spoke about weddings, we almost got a tear from Fergus on the way up as he reminisced on his speech. So yeah, it was top. Although I did feel quite outnumbered going up from London to Liverpool this time by our Scouse friends.
It was strange, Trevor. You'll know what it's like, being around the trains and stuff like that. I got a Euston station, and I thought I'd already was in St Helens or somewhere like that. There was Manx everywhere, there was Scousers everywhere. There was a couple of Arsenal shirts, a couple of West Ham shirts. It was more outnumbered in Euston station than it was in Lime Street station with bloody Scousers and so on.
Yeah, they do travel up from London. A lot of those fans in that northwest, don't they? But that's what they do. That's their team. I don't know how that ends up to be their team, but it's been like it ever since I can remember. Hang on. Kieran, they found you. Kieran, they found you.
Oh, no, sorry about that, gents.
The celebration police have got him. They've been after him for years.
They've been looking for
They got him.
Somebody's got to clip that one up. Somebody's got to
Too
clip that
much
one up and
singing.
send the celebration police. Kieran has popped his cherry on the Harrow Road, and the celebration police have gone after him.
That's it.
Picking up on what Lyle said, it's quite interesting because I'm still knackered now. I was shattered Saturday night, and I was half a mind not to go. You know, the thing that made me want to go was I knew I was meeting a great crowd when I got there, and I'm really glad I did go because it was an amazing day. The pub we went in beforehand, Lyle knew about it. He took us to it. Fantastic. Some Liverpool fans there that were very happy and celebratory, but also very chatty and respectful, which made it for a good pre-game drink. And yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm over the moon for the Arsenal. I know we're going to talk about the game, but when we went 2-0 down, you're thinking, oh my God. And I'm still not sure if it was we played that bad or whether it flew out of starting blocks, you know. But what I needed, feeling the way I was at half time, what I needed for the second half was for the Arsenal to come out and put on a performance. And and that's exactly what they did. It was a wonderful second half, and I'm really pleased I went in the end.
I must say, Trev, the pub that Lyle selected for us at the beginning did give me flashbacks of Phoenix Nights, did it not?
It was like lime green and pink was the colour, wasn't it? Yeah,
It was an interesting establishment.
The thing that done me straight away is that blow up Premier League trophy sitting on the bar, and they come along. All right, lads, do you want a photo? And I'm like, no, you're all right. I can't see it. I can't see anything in my peripheral vision.
You know what, though? Trevor's right. They're actually very mildly behaved. I mean, if it was us winning the league and a load of Scousers walked into one of our pubs, they'd never hear the end of it, would they? So they were actually a really sound bunch. And, you know, they said to us, look, next year it will be your year. You just got to hang in there. And I appreciated that. They were really nice fellas.
Yeah, they were indeed. I can't believe that pub wasn't more busy, to be honest, Lyle. It was quite cold, quiet, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's what happens when you've got a secret pub in an undisclosed location, which Fergus will not tweet out.
Well, I got the name wrong because I got Kieran's name wrong on the tweet for this show. So that's pretty typical. Listen, I got a couple of photographs of us gathered together. This is me and you, Kieran. We went to the Arkle. I left that salubrious establishment, and we're with Cos and the Mantles. Yeah, it was like Twilight Zone walking into like 4 mantles all together. It was really funny. And then we've got this photo. For some reason, me and you, Kieran, we're not on that one on the concourse. And then we got this one of me, Dan, and Trev getting ready for our TV appearance as usual. So I was like front row. but it was good in the Arkles as well, wasn't it, Kieran?
Yeah, it was. It was lively. I think obviously the Arkles is I guess when you go there before, it's like 5 deep, as Lyle says, so you never know if you're going to actually have a chance to get in the beer. But I thought it was good. It's an interesting one with it being so close to the ground. How they, obviously there's home fans and away fans just getting on nice. Exactly how it should be, in fairness. But yeah, it's a bit of an interesting vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Trev, you'll appreciate this one. I bumped into Cheltenham Gooner. Gary, I think is that his name, and he was in. Trust me to get the name wrong if it is. But we're standing in the side of the bar we're on. There was a small toilet and people were queuing up at it. And some Scouse guy came along and said to me, he's a Liverpool fan, really friendly. He said, "Oh, mate, if you're looking for the toilet," he said, "if you go across that yard, turn left, turn right, go through the door, you'll just see it's right in front of you." And me and Gary looked at each other and thought we were both want to reply, "Yeah, we know it's called Anfield," but we didn't.
Oh,
yeah, I probably wouldn't be here today if I said that to him. Let's look at the lineups then. So we had a lineup of Raya, White, Saliba, Kivior, Lewis Skelly, Partey, Marino, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Trossard. Ben White and Trossard started in place of Marino and Rice. Anybody know why Rice was rested, Trevor? Any idea?
Well, I've not seen Arteta's interview, but there's mentions of an injury, isn't there? Some kind of injury he's been carrying. And to be honest with you, if missing the last 2 or 3 games of the season means he's going to be fit and raring for the whole of next season, I'll take that all day long. Get him rested. If he's not quite right, get him rested. Yeah, Mark here looks saying it's a hamstring. So, yeah,
Hamstring.
Let's not risk him. Let's get him right.
Lyle, that's the 7th hamstring this season, then, if that's the case that we've had. There's something... Well, I think we touched on it on the train up, maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's really worrying, and it shows you, in my opinion, that the players are being overplayed. If you've had 7 players who've had a hamstring injury, it just shows you've got a massive problem with just not being able to rotate. And I understand that some of those factors have been outside of the boss's hands, in the sense that we've had horrible injuries this season. We've had a lot of misfortune with sending offs, but I think it's something we need to look at going forward. They need to look at the squad depth. They really need to be busy in the off season. It's the biggest window that we've had in recent history as a club. We really need to get some more players in.
Yeah, Dan says it's a hip. Sorry, go on.
Do you know what worries me, Lyle? Is that we were speaking exactly along those lines at the end of last season, mate, and the summer just let us all down badly. I've no doubt that it's going to be an absolutely, completely different transfer window this summer. But you're right, mate. We don't have the depth. If we're honest with ourselves, we don't have the high class depth to just see it through, as is shown by these injuries.
And we've also got to remember there's one other factor which no one's talking about, but we've played an unprecedented amount of games this season. So you've had the full league season. We've made the semi-final of the League Cup. We've made the semi-final of the Champions League in the new format where you're playing 2 more games than what you normally would. So, I mean, all of these sort of things, they add up. And I just think as a fan base and as a club, we need to take a step back and we need to realise that if we want to be playing with the big boys, you need to give the builders the tools to do their job. And I think that's what the manager's going to need in the summer. If you want to be challenging for the Champions League, you want to be challenging for the league title, winning the league title, winning these trophies, you need a big squad. You can't just be having your starting 11 and maybe 1 or 2 off the bench. You need a solid 20 players who can, play week in, week out where needed.
Yeah. Kieran, have you found a seat yet? You have, haven't you? Finally.
Just as on cue there.
You were exhausting me, the amount of walking you were doing. I'm thinking, Jesus
I reckon I've
Christ,
got 10,000 steps in there tonight.
Kieran, what did you make of the lineups? And probably moving it on beyond that, what did you make of, how did you feel about Arsenal doing the classy thing, but still hurt the Guard of Honour?
Yeah, I obviously think that doing the Guard of Honour is something you never want to have to do, especially when you're meant to have been competing and it was also meant to be our season, So it was a bit of a bitter pill to swallow. But one of the things that we've always valued about Arsenal is, history, tradition and class. And, it wouldn't have been the Arsenal way to not do the Guard of Honour. I don't think they showed much honour themselves in their stand with their mockery of Arteta. And I think football fans have maybe got a bit of a short memory. They've come second a fair few times to City themselves. So it's everyone knows how hard it is to do what Liverpool did this year. And I mean, congratulations to them. But yeah, and I mean, fingers crossed next year we can pick it back up. But I thought that our lineup was strong. I have to say, when Gabriel went down injured earlier this season, we all were panicking because Kivior was coming in. But I think you have to look at it and say that he's held his own, and he's been a bit of a revelation coming in. And again, Miles Lewis-Skelly put on an absolute blinding performance. Thought Martinelli through the middle had a great game. So yeah, I was encouraged by it all yesterday. In the second half, at least, not the first.
No, Trevor, you and all of us have talked about the Anfield, the famous atmosphere they talk about, where they have "You'll Never Walk Alone" blared out, and we've done it in the League Cup before they had their even more expanded stadium. The Arsenal have outsung them, but they blared it out. And they were in jubilant mode for the first 10 or 15 minutes, and then it was so silent. Beautiful in the sunshine, but it just dies down to virtual silence. 75,000. Well, no, it's not. It's 60-something thousand, isn't it? And it's died down to nothing.
Yeah. Look, firstly, right, Kieran just spoke about the game. When I watched it, I've done a few boys who watched the game back, but I didn't realise how good a chance that was Saka had right at the start of the game, I 9 times out of 10, Saka's putting that in the back of the net, boys. I'm gutted he missed that because that puts a whole different perspective. as for the atmosphere, ever since I've been going to Anfield, they play "You'll Never Walk Alone," and you can always hear the tannoy more than you can hear the fans. I've no doubt the fans sing it, but they pump that tannoy up. I thought they were in quite in celebratory mode yesterday. As I've just said before the game, I was having chats with the lads at the pub, and it was a pleasant time. I was okay, but when we got in the stadium, I was so disappointed in the Liverpool fans. So I saw a few today saying Miles Lewis-Skelly needs to learn a bit of respect. He should clap when we're having the Guard of Honour, and when I look at it back, there's Miles Lewis-Skelly clapping, and then the banners mocking Mikel Arteta. I don't know where they get. I don't know what goes through their heads to actually. I mean, when Arsenal win, I'll say when, and I mean when Arsenal win the Premier League next season, right? Us four boys and the rest of the Dad Burton army, we're not going to think about mocking others, are we? We're going to be in party mode for months, celebrating our win. What anybody else does absolutely won't bother us in the slightest. But they scored the 2 early goals, and the crowd got a bit louder. But I've never seen a drop off after we scored the 1 goal to make it 2-1. You could have heard a pin drop from then for the rest of the game until that goal disallowed at the end. So yeah, I mean, to sum it up for me, good luck to Liverpool. Lots of your fans are thoroughly decent people. Some people have let you down yesterday, and that's such a shame. Celebrate your win. Don't worry about others.
Lyle, I'll come to you on the Guard of Honour briefly. Your thoughts on it? You think we've done it well?
Yeah, we did it really well, and I think it's a really difficult subject. I think it's a head versus heart sort of thing. I think your heart is always going to say that you shouldn't do it, but when you use your head, you say, well, actually, no. To Kieran's point, we're the Arsenal. We've always valued ourselves with history, class, and tradition, and so when you use your head, you think, yeah, it's 100% the right thing to do. But obviously, the heart will be like, absolutely not. But I'm proud of the way the lads conducted themselves. I also think, look, if we had been a little bit more consistent in the league towards the back end, we wouldn't have even had to do that Guard of Honour. You look at some of the games which we've dropped points in recently, Crystal Palace at home, you look at Bournemouth at home, you look at Brentford at home, and then you throw in a couple of other games. We probably would have gone there in that game, maybe 4 or 5 points behind them, and you don't have the whole Guard of Honour and be subject to that. So I think we've partially also done it to ourselves. And we've also got to take our medicine and just say, look, Liverpool were a better team this season. Congratulations to them. And so because of that, I'd say well done. I think the Guard of Honour was the right thing to do.
Yeah, the table doesn't lie. Yes, they were the best performing team overall. I don't think they played the best football, but they were overall consistent throughout the league. For the Guard of Honour, I'll have to openly admit I turned my back on it. I just found it painful. And to be honest, what was also even equally as painful was 20 minutes and 21 minutes. 20 minutes, our defence switched off from a really quick Andy Robertson quick throw. And he put it on Cody Gakpo. Sorry, I get me words all mixed up. What's new? To go 1-0, and not long after that, Luis Diaz slides a ball into the empty net. Trevor, talk to me about how you felt at that point. It felt like it was going to be a really, really long afternoon. 2 goals, quick succession.
Yeah. Fergus, I'm just wondering, and I'm not digging here, far from it actually. Just why did you find it so painful? I mean, I just handled it. It didn't bother me in the slightest. The Guard of Honour, it's what's done in this current day. It wasn't an Arsenal thing.
I have a personal thing. I love people from Liverpool. I love Everton Football Club. I think they're a great club. I think they've got class and tradition. I have a thing back from the late 80s, personal experience with Scousers, and I hate them ever since. Personally hate them for they try to glass me and beat my dad up, and not having it. Smash the pub up. So that's the reason.
Expand on that because you'll get yourself upset.
Yeah. So no, that's the reason why, Trev. I just don't want them to win anything.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
And my dad was a Liverpool supporter. My uncle's a Liverpool supporter. So yeah, leave it there. I think that's the best one.
Well, I just tried to leave it about 5 minutes ago, but you carried on talking about it. Listen, yeah. So, I was honestly worried for us when they scored 2 goals in a minute. I actually thought they played really well for the first 20 minutes. I know we were slow out the blocks maybe, but I didn't think that we were bad. I thought that Liverpool actually played really well and created a couple of really good openings and scored the goals. And at that period, I'm thinking, if I'm honest, I'm thinking I'm not going to be in this ground at the end of the game. I can sense that I'm not going to be in this ground at the end of the game. Let's see how it goes. And then we get to half time nicely, and I'm thinking, right, let's see how these boys come out in the second half. And it was a revelation, to be honest, wasn't it? It was a completely different side.
Kieran, a revelation second half. Martinelli on the 47th minute gets on the end of a Trossard cross and gave us that lifeline that we needed. But they came out with some purpose. When we saw them coming on the pitch after the restart, they came out with some purpose. I wonder what Arteta said to them in half time, because he wasn't happy at the end of the game either.
Well, I think if you were to see that interview after, I can imagine what he said to them at half time, because I think that's the angriest I've ever seen Arteta, which was actually quite nice to see, because I think you could be mistaken for thinking that yesterday didn't mean anything because the season's relatively done. I think we're going to be comfortable in the top four, in that thing. I didn't really ever feel pressured to get that, but good that the energy and the passion's still there. Trev, do you remember my little rally call to you just before half time, or just before the second half rather?
Do you know what, Kieran? I can remember you saying something to me, but I was pissed, mate. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Steak baked again. I'd said to Trev, I was disappointed with the Arsenal away end atmosphere. I thought we were all a little bit, just felt a little bit like a non-event. Didn't feel like anyone was up for it particularly, and I thought that was mirrored on the pitch in the first half. So I was very encouraged to see that we came out firing in the second half, and we were bang up for it in that, and we turned it around. And I think Arteta used a great phrase. He likes action, not reaction, and I think that actually that is a phrase that could sum up our season. Far too reactive, and I know that we've had a hard cards dealt to us this season, but we've never really had it on the front foot, I haven't thought.
Yeah, that in fairness, that's a great point. I do remember that now, Kieran. I do remember you, and rightly so, trying to lift that away end because it needed lifting. And of course, the thing that lifts all away ends is a goal, and we got a goal soon after, and that seemed to get us all going. And well, when the equaliser went in, it was superb. I like
before the equaliser went in, though. There was a big thing that changed.
Just cut me off, Ferg. You're rude.
No, it's fine. It's only because it works. That talk about before the. I'll go to you and then Lyle, but Trent Arnold came on for Conor Bradley, and the chorus of boos that went around that ground was absolutely disgusting. The guy's played for the club for 20 years, man and boy. The club had plenty of opportunities to re-sign him. I just think, even if we knew Van Persie was leaving, I don't think we'd have booed him while he's still wearing an Arsenal shirt, Trev.
Look, right. Well, I hadn't finished talking about the game yet. There's much more.
We're still going on about the game. You just don't read any of the notes, right? Because to
be honest with you, and Lyle can come in after this because I know I'll get a logical answer off of Lyle because I'm going to sort of light a blue touch paper here, right? If Bukayo Saka refused to sign a new contract and ran down his contract to 0 and then said 2 or 3 months before the season's ending, I thank you for Arsenal for bringing me through. Thank you for what you've done, but I'm off and I've run my contract down, so I'm going on a free. How would the Arsenal fans react to that? Let's be honest. How would they?
Lyle?
Yeah, look, we're not the right fan base to talk about this, and I don't want to talk about the Alexander Arnold thing. Personally, I don't think it was the best thing for Liverpool fans to do, but I can understand it because of what Trev just said there. And look, we can't say we're saints. The amount of players who've left us and gone to our other rivals, we've given them dogs abuse based on the circumstances. I would say Alexander Arnold's slightly different, and the reason why I think it's not right for him to get booed is because of the position Liverpool Football Club are in that he's left them in. He didn't leave them in 5th or 6th in the league, struggling to win trophies. He's almost gone out on a high. They've won the league title, and obviously he's going off elsewhere. So if they had if they weren't in that position, then I could totally understand why the fans would be completely and utterly annoyed. But he's leaving having won the league title with them. He's been with them for 20 years. So if I was personally a fan, I probably wouldn't have been as upset. But if we were in a different circumstance, I'd have been absolutely fuming that he'd left.
Kieran, your thoughts on it?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because when he's one of your own as well, like, Scouse lad, born and raised, you'd have thought that he would have been a one-club man, in fairness, because I thought that he would as well. But it's hard, man. Like Real Madrid, when they come calling, we're going to have to be kind of privy to this as well. With the Saliba links. I get it. I get why they're upset. They feel disappointed they're losing one of their own. But I do think as well, he also has played a big part in you winning 2 league titles, Champions League as well. He was pivotal in that comeback against Barcelona. Maybe give him a bit of rope, where he wants to go Real Madrid. It's a big, big club, no one's turning that down, are they?
Yeah, and I think we've just got to be careful because we've given players who've left us and come back dogs abuse, absolute dogs abuse. So I just think it's hard for us to take the moral high ground on this one, Fergus.
We're not the best at that.
I'll be brutally honest, I just don't see it because I've been at games, right? I've been in away ends where the level of abuse some of our fans have given players who were at the Arsenal and have come back as completely wrong. So I think it's hard for me to take the moral stance on this one, if I'm brutally honest.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree.
I agree. I think we're all of a similar sort of mindset that we wouldn't abuse a player to that level, and I think that's why I thought it a little bit harsh by the Liverpool fans that they boo him. And you listen to the radio, you can see some hardcore the equivalent of Trevor Liverpool fans on the radio talking and getting upset and saying if they had heard somebody booing them like they would have, it would have come to some sort of blows. But I do think that also that helped with the incessant pressure that we were putting on Liverpool. And I think with that atmosphere within the stadium, which was really strange, I think that gave us the opportunity to keep on pressing. And Marino, he gets an absolutely great contact. Trevor, you've been singing this guy's praises since he's been playing in that makeshift role. He done a great job again, didn't he?
Absolutely. I just want to say, are you, Joe? Nice to see you yesterday. I spotted you and you spotted me. You were about 10 rows behind me, Joe. I'm surprised I could focus 10 yards back yesterday. Nice to see you, Joe. Yeah, Marino yesterday was...
One second, Trev. Kieran wants to say something. 1 second.
My poor planning due to TFL has meant my phone's about to die. So I'm gonna have to love you and leave you, mate.
All right, mate. Well, thank you, and we'll get you back on again. It was been really good, even this few bits that we have. Sorry,
That's
mate.
your last invite, Kieran. That is your last invite. You're gone.
Sorry, gents. Poor planning my part.
Kieran's going now. Boo!
Boo! Yeah, boo!
Don't come back any other way. See you, lads. Bye.
Bye.
Take care, mate. Yeah, I'm glad you touched on Marino because I've got it written down here in big capital letters, Fergus Marino. I mean, he was playing deeper yesterday, but I think although he was playing deeper yesterday, he still showed the qualities that he's learned this season from playing up front. To get that free header off the crossbar, his reactions had to be superb because there were 2 or 3 Liverpool defenders around him, and he was the one that realised that what might happen here, and he was in a perfect position to head it in. I'm so proud of Mikel Merino this season. Not many people agree with me, but he's right up there for my player of the season for what he's done in general for our club. I'm over the moon for the lad. I love him, I do.
He definitely needs to mention in dispatches, doesn't he, Lyle? Like, he has stepped up to the breach. I've got colleagues who are Liverpool fans from Liverpool, and I was speaking to him this morning, and he went, that Marino fella, I think he'd be all right as a squad player. I don't think he'll ever make a striker. And I turned around and said, he's not a striker. He hasn't been playing he's been played as a striker, but he's not a striker. He's been filling in when we've had nobody up top, and he's done great.
Yeah, no, I think, look, Marino's been fantastic, especially since the turn of the year. Simply brilliant. He's put in some fantastic performances. Leicester away is the one which really springs to mind when he come on and scored the 2 goals. And I think you've just got to take your hat off to him, because it would have been easy for him to say, no, don't want to play up top, not my position, not interested, and throw his toys out the pram. But, he understands this. Oh, sorry. He understands this, right? He understands that as a player, your job is to play for the badge. It's to give 100%. And he's done that. And I think there are certain fans who should be ashamed of themselves for the stick and the criticism that Marino got. You've just, like, I think what Trev said, I don't think you can say he's been our player of the season, but I think you could give him like almost the Clubman Award, in terms of what he's done, in terms of mucking in, giving 100%. So, I think we should be very grateful to him, and also proud of what he's done, because when he turned up, everyone thought, he's Spanish player, he's a bit lightweight, he's got injured, he's not going to hack it in England. But my God, some of the battles he's had up top, throwing his weight around, I mean, he's been fantastic.
Mind you, after you said that, Trevor, about your player of the season, and then what Lyle's just said, I thought, well, Marino stepped up when he needed to. Miles Lewis-Skelly, nobody really knew he could play in the first team, has stepped up and he's been outstanding. Kivio has been outstanding. The amount of players in that greater squad that have stepped up and manned up to their position this season has been outstanding. We haven't had the depth in the squad due to injuries, but it's been great, Trev, hasn't it?
It has. I'm trying to sniffle a sneeze here. I'm trying to sniffle a sneeze here. You mentioned the names of a couple of players that have become a very important, integral part of our squad and our team even. But at the start of the season, we never had a clue about one, and one was vastly underrated. And I've stood Kivio's corner all season, even against you, Ferg. We've had a little tiff about it. I've stood Kivio's corner all season, and the lad's gone on to prove to be a superb, and that's not an overstatement, a superb cover player for Gabriel. He's not let us down at all. I'm over the moon with him.
Do you know the one thing about Kiwior as well, which I think is interesting, is that it's sometimes hard for these younger players when they've not played much football to just be thrown in and sort of have to do a job. So I think the game that sticks to mind is Bolton at home, where Kiwior was quite poor, and also Palace at home in particular, where he was really poor in the League Cup. And obviously everyone was getting on his back. But then he's come in the side, he's had a run of games, and that's enabled him to get confidence. And we can't forget, for these young players, that is so important for them. You can't
the difference in this run of games he's had a run of games to cover Gabriel, which is going to be a really hard position to ever get a go in, but it's his natural position. The left centre back is his position. The left back position, especially the way Arteta wants to play it. We saw Kieran Tierney is going to leave the club at the end of the season. An excellent defender, but can't play in that position under Arteta because he can't do that inverted role. And maybe that's where Kiwior couldn't handle that role in the left back.
Look, yeah, 100%. And look, I mean, it's a well-tried and tested path. I mean, Arsenal fans under Arteta, 9 times out of 10, tend to get it wrong on the young players. So you look at the young players who've come in since Arteta's taken over. When Odegaard arrived from Real Madrid, everyone said, when he had the loan season, he's too lightweight. He can't do it in England. He ain't the one. There's obviously Kai Havertz when he arrives, what a waste of money. And the list goes on and on and on. And I think if you look at the players who we've bought, these young players, you look at the players who've come through the academy, you'd have to say, at least 8 out of 10 of all the players we've bought or the players who've come through have been absolutely spot on. And, even if they're not necessarily getting the output in terms of goals and assists, the work rate's there, they're fighting hard, they're battling hard. So I just think you've got to give a lot of credit to Arteta, the way he's backed these young players.
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what, Ferg, right? It's a really important point. I don't know what you boys think about it. In that, I think that Kiwior coming in, Gabriel was the hardest one of the 2 centre-half boots to fill, right? Because for me, Gabriel is the muscle, he's the leader, he's the shouter, he's the pointer, should we make comparisons? But out of Saliba and Gabriel is more like the Tony Adams, Gabriel, Saliba, he's got a little more flair about him. He's a little bit lighter on his feet. And I honestly think that if I had to get rid of, if we had to miss one of the two, I'd rather miss Saliba than Gabriel. I'm not saying that Saliba's a bad player. Far from it. I'm very happy with Saliba. Wonderful. But I honestly think that if I had to choose a pair of boots for Kiwior to fill, I would have chosen Saliba because Gabriel has the game that solids it all up a bit, you know. So more kudos to Kiwior.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think Saliba's the better player out of Saliba and Gabriel by without a doubt. But Gabriel is maybe you'd say more important to the team and to the fan base.
He's more important in both. He's more important in both boxes.
Yeah,
I think that was mentioned by somebody on the train, either coming back from Manchester or on the way up. Another thing that was mentioned on the train, and it's not on here, and I'd be interested to see what Trevor's view on it is, because we talked at a bit of length about the academy, and you look at how the academy is actually paying its way and holding its own. You've got players that we've sold on. We've got Smith Rowe, you've got Nelson, you've got Balogun, you've got Willock. Yeah, there's several players that have moved on, and it's paid 150, 200 million pounds into the coffers. And you've got other players that it's generating and bringing out. You got Wanyeri, whether he makes it or doesn't make it, which I think he probably will. Niles Lewis-Skelly is clearly making it. There's Max Downing coming through. There's more and more players. Trevor, that academy is probably one of the better academies in the league at the minute.
Yeah, undoubtedly. If you look at the young lads that we sold to Man United, they're getting regular game time before one of them got injured. Admittedly, a very average side at Man United this season, but it's a Premier League team. The one that what quite surprises me at our club is we were all singing Nwaneri's name, and I know for a fact Nwaneri will get more game time next season. He will come better again. So Nwaneri's position, we've got lots of cover there. You know. Miles Lewis-Skelly, I didn't hear all the vibe and all the noise I'd heard about the others, but he comes in and he proves to be probably the best of the lot. I mean, Skelly's just absolutely off the scale for me. He really is. Mentioned Odegaard earlier, and what did Odegaard do yesterday that he hasn't done for months now? He was shooting at goal. He had 2 or 3 shots at goal. I mean, it was his shot that led to Marino's goal. And I honestly think that made Odegaard look more complete again yesterday. Somewhere back to near where we like him to be.
He done it in Paris as well, Trevor. He done it in Paris. He had that shot. He was very unlucky in Paris as well. And I think physically he looked a little bit better than he has done, because he's looked a little bit lightweight and washed out and just not himself of late. But yeah, it's really good to see him back. I suppose moving it on a little bit, we've got a picture here of us celebrating after Mourinho's goal, and that's the one that Arsenal used, where you're even more aggressive. You and Dan, who's on Dan standing on a chair as well. Christ, Trevor, you're very tall, aren't you?
Leave it. Lyle, what are you trying to do to that young lad? Look like you're trying to butcher him, son.
Do you know what it was? So the backstory to that was that young lad, it was his first away game, and he was buzzing to be there, buzzing to be at Anfield. And he was a little bit down in the first half because obviously we were two goals down. And I said, son, just stick with it. Don't worry. I said, it's not over. So the team will come out in the second half and they'll give it a really good go. And when that second goal went in, I just gave round and gave him a hug, because the poor kid was really emotional in the first half. And I was just delighted for him. I was absolutely delighted for him. And I also think, look, all the fans who went out of Paris midweek, all the fans who obviously travelled up and down the country, they deserve that, because obviously it was really hard out in Paris midweek. The Arsenal fans went through a lot, and I think the fans really deserved that, who travelled all the way up to Liverpool and had to be put through what we were put through up there with all the tormenting from their fans and all of that kind of stuff. And so I was just so pleased the players actually turned up for us that second half. We deserved that, to go up there and get a lot of people would have just binned it off. Whereas obviously we went up there, we had to put up with all the taunting, all the jeers, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm really grateful Arsenal turned up.
So I won't deny the fact it crossed my mind not to go, Lyle. I'll hold my hands up, you know. I suppose I was always going to go, really, but I was thinking, do I really want this? But
I think if I had done Paris and drank as much beer as you guys did and everything else in Paris, I would have had been in two minds. But I was looking forward to going out and having the social with you guys and going and seeing the football. I wasn't really looking forward to the game to a certain degree, because I knew there would be And in fairness, Liverpool let us off a little bit. There wasn't that much of second again and all that sort of stuff. I thought we were going to get taunted left, right, and centre. Marino being the hero to get the equaliser. Did he turn villain, as they might say on some of these things? He got a second yellow card for a tackle. And to give the referee the benefit of the doubt, when you see it from the referee's angle on Match of the Day, he takes two players out, and it does look really nasty. It could even, to a certain degree, have been a straight red. But when you see it from the other angle, hang on, let me finish. When you see it from the other angle,
then buttocks moving, will you? Hey?
When you see it from the other angle, from behind, like facing the ref, you can see that he's pushed and he's unsteady on his feet and he's fallen forward, and then he's gone into the player. It was unfortunate, but it was a yellow card, Trevor. Go on. You had a lot to say. Go on, give your answer.
No, I've got no argument. 2 yellows. Yeah, I've seen it back today. 2 yellow cards. No argument at all. But it didn't look like anything near a red to me. It weren't a red. It was, when you look at it, yellow card followed by another yellow card. Off you go. And to be honest with you, Marino had a little tiny moan, but when he stood up, he knew. Marino knew he was straight.
He saw red. I mean, Fergus, if you've ever played, if you've played the game, it's unfortunately Marino. Marino had that moment where he saw red, and he's just like a Spanish ball. He's just gone bang through both of them. So it's 100% a second yellow. I mean, we can't defend that one. It's unfortunate. The lad lost his head. Understandable, because he's been battling for 90 minutes. So he's on the floor. He's battling away. He's seen the ball there and he's wanted to go and nail the lad, but he's missed it. It's definitely a yellow card.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't disagree. And it was only because when they've done the replay of Match of the Day, you can see he goes through two players, and you could see some of the ridiculous decisions we've had with referees, that you could have had a referee who'd gone, you've taken two players out. It's virtually 2 yellow cards, and
but they're two different issues, aren't they? One is the poor refereeing we've had all season, and was present in that game. What Arnie said. I mean, what the hell? I mean, how this shows just the sheer incompetence of the VAR. I mean, what were they doing? Were they asleep? Were they asleep at Stockley Park? You know, were they on the piss? What's the point? What's the point of the VAR if it's sitting in? If you've got 4 or 5 of these muppets in the control room, if they can't see something as blatant and frankly violent conduct as that, I mean, it's just baffling, man. It's baffling.
It was violent as well. Ferg, that on Saka. I'm not saying it was a red card, but it was more of a red card than Marino.
Yeah.
Foul, mate.
No.
Let's have this out, right? Okay. We've had
All
players.
Right, don't take your glasses off when you talk to me like
that. We've had players who've been kicked off, who've been sent off for kicking a ball away, right? They've been sent off for kicking a ball away, yeah? How on earth, my man, he's got his hands round Saka, and it's wild, isn't it? You can't make us up.
Well, even I think it was Konate for that one as well. But Konate again on Miles Lewis-Skelly in the 90th minute, when that goal disallowed for Robertson scored what they thought was the winner. And I don't know if you see, Konate has just like assaulted 2 of our players. I think it was Calafiori and Miles Lewis-Skelly. It was shocking.
It's crazy.
Are you on your mute, Trev?
I was just on mute because the wife just come home and the mother-in-law, so I was just shouting checking it was them. That's all.
All right, okay.
I just missed that last sentence completely.
No, it's just
Lyle or repeat it, mate.
You know, it was just Konate and the physicality. We're talking about the Saka tackle, which I think was Konate also who tried to like lambast and strangle him. They were really physical on the players, and there was nothing really done about it. And we've seen it quite a lot. And as Lyle said, Declan Rice gets sent off against Brighton for touching the ball with his heel. Not seen that repeated ever since. Trossard against Man City. There's been many. Listen, no sour grapes. We drew too many games to win this league.
Yeah.
But it's just the inconsistency.
Yes, and I'm going to come back to you on the point which you've raised, right? So it's really interesting. So 7, 8, 9 years ago, we used to go watch Arsenal up north, right? These are the sort of games where we would have just folded, completely capitulated. I mean, we lost 4-0 at Anfield 3 seasons ago. I was there, right? Trevor was there as well. Now, for me, it shows the progress in the Arsenal team in probably two ways. Number one, it's the mentality of the team. Now it's that never say die mentality. And then number two, it's also we've got the physicality now, right? We even though they'll try and do all of this sort of nonsense, we're not bullied and we're not intimidated. And I think that is where the fans who are not happy with Mikel Arteta, and obviously everyone's entitled to an opinion on the manager, if they can't see how far we've improved, then I mean, then they're idiots. Because for me, that is what we want to see. We want to see the fight and we want to see the character, and that's what all the good Arsenal teams have had over the years. So I know it was disappointing with the referee decisions, but I was so proud of our boys for standing up in that second half and going toe to toe with Liverpool physically.
Right, Lyle. Let's have this out, right? I can't see a thing.
I can't see nothing.
I cannot see a thing without them. Sam's got a great point there. Our good friend Sam, part of the Dad Burn Army, one of the generals. We have seen a lot of decisions against the Arsenal this year, right? We've seen a lot of decisions against the Arsenal this year, but we haven't seen anything comparable given, have we? You know, kicking the ball away very gently. You see it 10 times every week in the Premier League. A player kicks the ball away. So it must have happened since Declan Rice got sent off for that nudge of that ball. There must have been thousands of times when a player has kicked the ball away, right? And yet the referees, what's his name, Gallagher and the other lot, would have you believe, right? Would have you believe that Declan Rice's one was different? Sorry, it weren't different to thousands of other times it's happened. It's a load of bull crap, you know? Yeah, and you're right, Ferg. Congratulations to Liverpool. Well done, Liverpool. We're not bitching about you here. You celebrate your win. But yeah, it does seem to have been a bit biased on us this season, I think.
That draw keeps us in second place, extends our unbeaten run against Liverpool to 6 league games. We haven't won. We've only won 3 of our last 11 Premier League games, drawing 6. I said draws were an issue and losing 2. That we avoided defeat after being 2-0 down at half-time in the competition for the first time since West Ham when we were in March 21, and we got it back to 3-3. But discipline has been an issue. Marino's red card was the 6th in the Premier League. And he's also goes down in history with the likes of Aubameyang, Arteta, and Ian Wright to be a scorer of a goal and also receiving a red card in the same game. So he's in good company, one might say.
Look, right, Jarhead Gooner, you've wound me up here now. Do you remember that? The shrug of the shoulder, you gave me no choice. I think it was to Declan Rice. You gave me no choice. God, that boils me. Don't put any more comments like that, please, Jarhead. I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate your input. You're a great supporter of our show, but you've wound me up now, mate. Just when I was calming down, you wound me up again, son.
Just to finish off on the game, if we look here at some of the stats, comparing the first half to the second half. Well, the first half we had clearly scored no, we had 5 shots on target, 5 shots on goal, none on target, 10 versus 7. Big turnaround in that game. We touched on it earlier. I think Kieran talked about it as well. Arteta wasn't happy after the game, and he said he wants action, not reaction. Lyle, what did you think of the turnaround in performance, and what do you imagine was said in that dressing room? Lyle?
Sorry, my internet's just been a little bit all over the place.
No, that's all right, mate.
No, look, I think Arteta just spoke how every fan felt. I mean, we went up there with nothing, right? The only thing we could really do to give ourselves any pride was to put a performance in. That's the only thing we could do, right? We'd obviously gone out of the Champions League in heartbreaking circumstances, which most of us are still not over yet, and rightly so. We've been 1 step forward, 2 steps back in the league all year. So if I was Arteta, I would have said, right, you lot have a long, hard look at yourself. You've got 3,000 fans who've travelled all the way up here. You've got 45,000 season ticket holders who've put so much money into the club over the last however many years. All the fans all around the world who are buying the merchandise, this, that, the other. After Wednesday, you owe them a bloody performance. You go out there second half, pull your socks up, start getting stuck in and get it done. And it's as simple as that. And that is why Arteta was fuming, because he knows the players let the fans down in the first half. It wasn't acceptable. And that had to be said. And I'm proud of the manager for doing that, because to his point, he wants action, not reaction. So I think the players knew, the manager knew that, it wasn't good enough first half.
Trevor, Champions League next season is all but guaranteed. But, is it important for you to finish second or fifth? Does it matter to you? We haven't won the league. Does it matter?
All right. It's not important for me personally, but I dare say it will be important for our football club. I think there's a lot of money talks in football, doesn't it? So
it's £1 million a place.
Yeah, there'll be prize money involved, so it'll be important for our club. For me, we're in Europe again next season. 2 games to go. The only thing that I've got on my mind is I'm going to go to the game this Sunday and cheer our boys on till I can't talk anymore against Newcastle, because we owe Newcastle a beating from earlier in the season. And then I'm going to go to Southampton for the last game of the season with a great bunch of people to watch, hopefully a win, and enjoy the last 2 games. That's all that's in my head at the moment, Ferg. I just want to enjoy them.
Lyle, next up is Newcastle. It's important, I think, we do get 3 points against Newcastle. We know what Southampton can be like. They can be a bit of a bogey team at times when we've needed points. I wouldn't like to have to go there. They've held City to a draw at the weekend. I wouldn't like to have to go there hoping for a point to try and maintain second position or third position and so on. It would be good probably to finish second, but I'd really want to beat Newcastle and get one back on them for the League Cup, don't you?
100%. We have to finish second. His point is absolutely spot on. We need to finish the season with pride. The players owe it to the fans. I keep saying this. I mean, Arsenal are going to increase season tickets again next year. They're going to continue to flog the merchandise. It's been a long season. Fans have been fantastic this year with their support. We've sold out every game home away in Europe, which has been tremendous. The players have to finish strong. I know they're tired, and naturally so. But for me, finishing second is actually really important, because what does that show us? It shows us we've had consistency, but it also shows us we need to improve. Now, if we finish 4th or 5th because we don't care and we haven't got the attitude or the mentality and we think we're on the beach, and I say, no, those players have got the wrong attitude. So for me, it's like, go out there, play for pride, play for the badge, get it over the line, finish second, and then obviously we regroup and we go again next year and hope we're going to win.
And once we've done these last 2 games, I think everybody, I'm looking at some of the names in the chat and so on, like Joanne herself, she travels to nearly every game home and away. You boys do. I do quite a lot. Dan, who's in the chat, has done all 58 games, which are possible. So we're all fatigued and a little bit disappointed that we haven't achieved what we wanted to achieve at the start of this season with the hope and the expectation that we had, but we go again. But there's a rumor that the Dad Burton Army might have a meetup somewhere in later in the year. Keep an eye on socials, wouldn't you say, Trev?
Yeah. I can't remember the details now, but Lyle, can you remember what it is and where it is? I can't remember now.
Yeah, it was. I think it's the under-18s down in Dover, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, looking forward to it. Ferg, just before we move on to Newcastle, so I don't forget, right? I hope you don't mind me taking a minute now, just a serious minute. As all you guys know out there, we've got the Kevin Campbell flag, right? And it's been to every European round this year. I promised myself in my head that I thought the world of Kevin Campbell, much as 100% of other people did. And I was going to make sure that people knew that we loved the man. So that flag's been everywhere. This Sunday before the game, I've not got any more details that we're definitely meeting yet. It'll be somewhere around the stadium. I'm meeting up with Kevin's brother and a lovely lad called Jason Lavelle, who's a friend of the family. And the family have decided they'd like the flag. So I'm going to hand the flag over to them, wish it farewell. I'm glad it's in safe hands, and I'm probably going to be emotional. I'm not going to take loads of pictures and put it out there. I think they'd like to take a couple of pictures to put on the Kevin Campbell Foundation website or social media, and that's fine with me. But I just needed to say tonight that it's not been a pleasure carrying that flag around, because it makes me feel sad if I think about it too deeply. But it was something I had to do, and it's done now. And rest in peace, big fella. Rest in peace.
Super Kev, Super Kev, Super Kevin Campbell.
Well done, Trev.
I'd love to have joined you there, Lyle, but I mean, that's gone, mate.
I think just quickly, Ferg, I mean, one of the most touching moments I've ever experienced as an Arsenal fan was at Goodison Park when both sets of fans were singing Super Kev's name, and obviously you boys were in the front row, and you had the Super Kev flag flying and that entire day. And I think an absolute credit to Hillsy for doing something which was important, showing the class of our great football club. We always look after our own, and to quote Kevin Campbell, as he always said, sometimes in life there's nothing better than being a Gooner. And Kev was one of our own. And I think it's just the right thing to do. And it just shows what a great man Hillsy is, that he, took the responsibility on himself. And, all the boys who've carried the flag around Europe, I think it's been truly amazing. And, very grateful. And he's been with us. I mean, we've had incredible performances in Europe this season. So, well done, Hillsy. And, Super Kev will always be with us, forever in our hearts.
We were just hoping that he could power us over that line. Trev, you okay, mate?
Yeah, I am. I'm just gutted that we couldn't take that flag to Munich. I'm really gutted that we couldn't carry the man to Munich, but we did our best. I shouldn't get emotional. You know what I mean? I didn't know the man that well, but he was one of the few players who I watched grow up from a young kid, a superb young goal-scoring individual. Before the days of social media, I used to go to the library every week and pick up the program. And the first thing I'd look for was, how many goals did that Kevin Campbell kid score this week? Because he was that prolific, right? Every week, bang, 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 goals going in left, right, and centre. And I was fortunate enough to do some work on social media with him on his TV channel, and then again on here. Some of the stories he told me, you may have heard them all before, people, but they're hilarious. And he was a wonderful man. So I can't talk anymore because I get upset. Sorry, boys.
No, I think you've done well, mate. And as you said, we were fortunate enough to interact on platforms like this with Trevor and Sophie, and with Kevin, myself, yourself, Sophie, and others as well. So yeah, a really nice man, genuine guy. Easily able to pick up a phone and message him, and he'd give you a comment or something back, or give you a reaction. So awfully sad. I shared a birthday with him. He was a year older than me, and sadly missed. Listen, there is
a year older than you. I'd rather have had his looks though.
Yeah. Well, there's a phrase I'm not going to use, but it's true. There's a story you are going to talk about. This photo of this young lady that you took a picture of, because we are coming towards the end, and it's appropriate that we put it on now, because at the end of the show, I normally go play the tune, and I went up the Arsenal, the rest of it. So, Trevor, over to you.
Lyle, I was telling Ferg about this earlier because I stayed in the ground after you boys yesterday because, as you know, I was in no rush to get out, so I thought I'd let the traffic clear. And just as I walked out, the place was nearly empty. Put that picture up again, please, Ferg, mate. This young lady and her mum were stood there, and I didn't know them from Adam, but they both said, "Oh, Hillsy," right? I said, "Hello, are you all right?" And they went, "Yeah, we watched the podcast." So I went, "Oh, thank you very, very much. I appreciate you watching." And the mum said, "The one thing that annoys me, that really, really annoys me, there's one little thing, and that's at the end when Fergus does his, her words, not mine. She said, up the Arsenal, F the Spurs, right? She said, please don't keep putting the in front of Spurs because we are the Arsenal. They ain't the Spurs. They're just Spurs. They're not in our league, you know." And so I said, wonderful. So I took that picture and I said, right, we'll put that picture on tomorrow night. And now's where I get really embarrassed. And you can put it in the comments if you're listening, right? Because this young lady told me, bearing in mind I'm about 20 pints in here, right? I'm deep into a big drinking session. This young lady said to me, my name is so-and-so, right? And I thought, well, I'll remember that name because it's Charlie, a man's name, Charlie. I'll remember that name. It starts with Charlie. And I've remembered it starts with Charlie, but I can't remember. I think it's Charlotte, not anything else. So if it's not Charlotte, I'm sorry. If it is, I've hit the nail on the head. But anyway, thank you for coming and saying hello. Thank you for telling us what Fergus does wrong. I've made sure he won't make that mistake tonight. And as a matter of fact, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And thank you for watching. Appreciate it.
Listen, not everyone's good at getting names. No, because I bumped into Nick, Coke guy, and I went, "Hello, mate. Are you Neil? Are you Matt?" And he went, "No, I'm Nick." And I just fell at that Nick.
I told you his name was Nick. I told you his name was Nick.
I didn't
You
hear
asked me
you.
his name. I said, "What?" You said, "What's his name?" I said, "It's Nick." I speak to him most weeks.
Let's remember, I had a train journey up. You had a car journey, so I had a few more beers ahead of you.
I didn't have a car journey. I had an Uber journey. That was a proper moment for you, Fergus. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I know it was on the way up because you drove from yours to the in-laws. So I was drinking while you were driving.
Yeah, I wasn't drinking and driving. I've never done that.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Should I push the button?
No, look, Lyle's been quiet for about the last 5 minutes. Lyle, listen, thank you for coming on tonight, mate. Right? I mean, we've spoken about what you want to see over our last 2 games. But just it's been a bit disappointing this last couple of weeks. I'm still can't get Paris out of my head, but I've got a big question for you, Lyle. I don't know if you'll want to answer it or not, mate. I know you're a level-headed lad, but have we seen progress again this year, mate?
Yes, we have, Hillsy, because let's be honest with you, for years we were going away in Europe in the Champions League and we weren't putting in performances that were of the level that were required. And for me, I think 2 of the proudest moments in recent years from an Arsenal perspective was the performance at PSV away when we went out there. A lot of the fans didn't fancy it. A lot of people thought we'd get a draw at best. We went out there and we walloped them 7-1. And then what we did over 2 legs against Real Madrid, who are obviously the holders of the Champions League and some would say the best team in European football, in that top competition was simply incredible. So, no, definitely progress in Europe. In the league, we've probably stood still a bit, if not 1 step forwards, 2 steps back. But, overall progress and, things could have been a little bit different. We could have made the final of the League Cup and the final of a Champions League. So, no, I think, look, it's been a good season. And I think sometimes you've got to go through the pain in life before you get the pleasure. And, I think Arsenal fans have short memories. I always remember, when I was a youngster, growing up, after we won the double in 98, we had the 3 seasons finishing second with the heartbreak in the 2001 Cup final. We then had the UEFA Cup final as well, which we lost. And then obviously we had, 3 or 4 glorious years. So football comes in cycles and our time is coming. I think we've just got to keep the faith and back the manager and back the team. And then we need to really put pressure on the board for them to go out and have a gangbuster transfer window. So we'll be okay, Hillsy. We'll be all right.
I agree. Listen, Ferg, right? Just to confirm what Lyle said there, and this isn't a made-up story. This is the truth. Towards the back end of Arsene Wenger's reign, as much as I loved Arsene Wenger, nobody can deny the fact we were poor. We were a poor side, and we actually went up to Burnley 1 week. I don't know, probably a year.
We talked about this game,
right? before Wenger left. And we took the lead 1-0 at Burnley, right? And our fans were actually singing, must you be, we're winning away. And I found that really embarrassing. I found it so embarrassing. And I can remember saying that day, please don't let Emmy ever hear a set of Arsenal fans sing that again. Because that was the lowest point for me, going to Burnley and being excited because we're winning 1-0. Well, not good enough. And I look at this year, I think we've progressed again. As you say, it's not the perfect year because we haven't got any silverware in the cabinet, right? But we were agreeing with Arteta, I suppose. We were good enough to win the Champions League this year. And I honestly think that looking back, we can blame the refs, we can blame a few things, but I honestly think injuries were the thing that's really battered us in the Premier League.
Injuries and a lack of potency on front of goal.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, though, I think these are the conversations we want to have because this is the difference between, winning the Champions League, winning the Premier League and finishing second. And as a football club, we now know the standards that we need to get ourselves over the line. I think most of the fan base is in agreement as to where we're short personnel-wise. And so I think we can take unity and solidarity amongst that. But I also think as fans, we've also got a massive job to play in the stadium in terms of backing the boys. And I think next season it's pivotal. The fans have got to turn up again. We've got to do our job. We've got to be noisy. We've got to be loud. We've got to back the boys. And that's for me, that's critical as well.
That's a huge shout. And listen, we all know that we've got some great atmosphere with the Ashburton Army doing stuff on the concourse at the clock end, and they do it down in Block 25 with the guys with the drums and the flags and everything else. We do what we do up in Block 5, Block 6 on the concourse. But all that noise and all that excitement before the games that happened needs to be transferred and translated onto into the terraces and the stands. And we need to be loud and proud like we were in 22-23 when we had no expectations and we were just like loving and running on the crest of a wave. But 428 people on here, the Dadburton Army are growing, and we are a movement. We are a movement, and we are all about genuine Arsenal fans just trying to create some atmosphere and enjoy the ride. We will have a phone-in show probably at the end of the season, Trev. We've got 2 or 3 more of these podcasts, and then we'll do one. And we'd like people to phone in. We'll put a link up on here and on socials where you can have yours, say, 5 minutes or so. It would be brilliant.
Look, right. I've probably gone off on the wrong tangent here because what was Wenger's lowest Premier League position? Also, look at what the board gave him in terms of spend. Look, right. It was I had no way ever on this earth would I attack Arsene Wenger, right? I went to the last game when we played Burnley at home, and I was in there an hour after the end, still clapping the man off, right? I have every respect for what he did for Arsenal Football Club, but facts are facts. When Arsene Wenger left the Arsenal, we weren't playing very well at all. We weren't playing to the level expected by supporters of the Arsenal Football Club. And I'm glad it ended like it did, amicably. Wenger was wonderful that day. He's been back now to the stadium. But what we've got now was what we needed. And just touching on because we've got Ben watching, Ben Bennett and Dan watching, 2 of the fans I respect most for trying to get the atmosphere going, right? 2 massive supporters of the Arsenal. 2 fans that do everything they can to raise an atmosphere within the Emirates. And the reason I say the Emirates is because the Emirates isn't the easiest stadium to get an atmosphere in. It can be done. We've done it. But you have to all work hard at it because at the end of the day, it's a corporate stadium, right? We've got boxes all round. We've got club level all round, and the fans are split top and bottom. So we have to work so much harder. And the likes of Dan and Ben, well done, boys. You have my utmost respect. And let's hope we get it going next year.
And I think as well, the biggest credit you can give to, those 2 which you've called out, Trev, and rightly so, for their efforts have been magnificent. And, what they've done working tirelessly, especially for the songs for the players. I think the players love that. And the fact that the manager and the players have come out and said just how incredible it is for them to have that song, which for them means the world, especially some of these players who've come from clubs where their fans, don't really value them. I'm thinking one player in particular, Kai Havertz. Since he's come to the Arsenal, he's just felt so overwhelmed with the love which with the players, the fans have given them. And I just think credit to those fans for doing that because, it really means a lot to those players. And Gabriel as well. I mean, he's obviously always, he's shared on social media. He loves his song. He said that as well. And I think it's important. We all know that, look, the on-the-pitch performances have to lead. You can have the best atmosphere in England. You're not going to win trophies, right? I mean, we all know that. But it helps. It definitely helps. And if the players say it helps, then it's something we need to continue prioritising. And for me, that's key. The players have said they want it. The manager have said that they want it. So I think that's our brief. That's our imperative. If that's what they've told us that they want, then we need to do it. We need to deliver it. Because if it helps them even 1%, then we've done our job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, press it.
I absolutely love that. Never in the middle of it is absolutely gets me every time.
Ferg, Lyle, make sure we invite Big Heath to the summer drink up. Looks like he wants to buy us all a beer. Heath, you're
Cool,
welcome,
yeah.
son. We'll keep you in the loop.
Bring
Right,
a credit card.
Just I'll have a lager, please. A nice cold lager, please, Heath. Oh,
Lyle, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on again. Kieran, I know you're not here with us now, but I'm sure you'll be watching back or watching now. Thank you for what you popped your cherry on the Harrow Road, and it was good. It was good for us all. We'll have you back on. He was worthy of it, wasn't he, Trev?
yeah, he's very articulate, unlike you and me, Ferg. Yeah, so I thought I'd better blame myself as well there, Ferg, because I lumped loads on you, don't I? So I'll blame both of us there, yeah. It's a pleasure to have him on. And Lyle, it's always a pleasure to have you on, son. Just do us one favour, Lyle, before you go. Put your glasses back on because you don't look so scary then, son. That's
Right, you the one who started it with the referees, mate. That's a sore subject. When someone gets that one going, it's
Well, listen, I've still not forgiven you for shouting at that French fan that kept standing up, and I had to pull you back, mate. You know.
You know what? We haven't even got time, but we should have talked about the stories about Paris, but we haven't done it properly. But anyway, listen, you have been watching a Guns and Yellow Ribbon podcast, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans, by us, for Arsenal fans, for you. Hope you enjoyed the show. Up the Arsenal, fuck Spurs.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.